Like to call this school district of Sturgeon Bay regular board meeting, Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, December 17th, 2025 to order. Would everyone stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Would you like to do the poll?
Absolutely. Commissioner Stricta,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Here.
Commissioner Howard is not here, Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Commissioner Stefani,
Here.
Commissioner Jenner.
Here.
Commissioner Hawes.
Here.
Commissioner Meyer
Here.
and Commissioner Starr.
Here. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda in front of you?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Great. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner, second by Commissioner Hawes to approve or adopt the agenda as presented. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So then we are down to the student council. So let's see what we have going on. Go ahead, ladies.
First, last time I mentioned to you guys our new club at the high school, Hope Squad, that focuses on mental health and suicide awareness. And last week, we actually had our big December event at the boys basketball game against Southern Door here. And there we handed out green bandanas as a part of the Green Bandana Project. It's pretty popular on college campuses, but people who are aware and you can go to for help just wear green bandanas around their backpacks. And at the game, we handed out green bandanas along with little mental health awareness notes just to support our December, because December was seasonal depression disorder.
And then for student council, our talent show is next week on Tuesday. We're kind of lacking events. We have to turn to interpretive duck duck goose. I don't really know what that means, but that's gonna happen. We also are doing our candy cane sales. Those are going pretty strong. We don't really have a lot for student council. It's kind of our down season, but I'm sure it'll pick up in the spring.
And then for FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, we're just going to start next week or the next basketball game selling pom-poms at girls and boys events.
And then for Beyond the Bell, which is our student news program, we received a grant. So now we are going to purchase more professional equipment, let's say. Instead of using a band tray thing to hold your music, we're gonna actually get a teleprompter. So that's something, getting lighting, new microphones. So this is all gonna be really beneficial. And now I won't have to look down every 5 seconds. So we're looking forward to using that.
And last but not least, Project 180 this week and into next week before break, we have hidden Principal Elf Nervy around school so people can try to find him and then go and claim a prize at the time.
That's all we have for you guys today.
It's pretty good. When we spoke at basketball last night, you were a little worried about content, but look what they pulled together for you board members, huh? So speaking of Principal Nervy, has he entered a talent item into the talent show yet?
I actually don't think so, but might be a little beneficial if he did,
The
actually.
benefit of everyone, I think, is better.
I think if you want, you could just sign him up.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
Maybe we'll see him in an actual elf costume.
Anything's possible.
I think you could also put Mr. Chernobyl on that list
Hey
too.
Santa.
Perfect.
I could
Just
look
help me out back
I can do
there.
that. Just for you guys.
Thank you.
So for the Beyond the Bell, so remember at some point, Lauren, we want to give them, I know there's a lot of you on there, but we said sometime you could pick an episode that we would, Mrs. Demise and I would make sure the board members get. So just a little reminder, we talked about that the other
Okay,
day.
I'll have to wait until an actual good one comes out.
All right,
So,
I'm betting in the new year, there'll be one you want the school board to see.
oh, for sure, yeah. I'll get back to you on that one.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
I have a quick question from last month's, the tree, I don't know, I can't remember the name of it, but the tree where you had giving tree, thank you. Is that still happening or is that John?
Angel
Tree?
So we were going to do with the angel tree originally, but because of that, there was like,
Already
yeah.
had one.
Oh,
so there were some space issues, but now what we're doing is we're adopting a family. So basically, we just get information about children that are in need, and then we'll go out and buy them gifts.
excellent.
So
So,
that's,
so if somebody wanted to help with that, how do they go about? Just a student just approaches you?
they would approach Dr. Jandrin, or like a family member could email him, and then
Okay.
we get them on the list.
And Dr. Jandrin reached out to elementary and middle school teachers to see if there's any specific students that they think would benefit.
Excellent, thank you.
Just in case someone isn't sure, Dr. Jandrin is our student council advisor, not to assume everyone always knows that. So we've got that, let me think, I think there's something else that's somewhat exciting for the school board, Maya, that we were talking about back on a certain day when I got to visit class, that you had gotten the good news. And we said, now we have something to talk about at the next board meeting too, so what am I talking about, Maya?
I finally know where I'm going to college. I know you guys have asked me every single month since August, but I'm officially committed to Stanford University,
It's not around here.
California.
So how did you get aligned with ending up at Stanford, Maya?
If you guys have seen the Facebook, but I applied through a program called QuestBridge National Match. So I first applied in October and I found out I was a finalist and then had to get everything submitted. I had to rank 15 colleges just from their list that they partner with. Had to have everything in by November 1st, so all those applications, and then on December 1st, I found out if I got accepted to one of the 15 that matched with me or didn't. Thankfully I did.
Did indeed, so how do you feel about that?
Words can't even describe it, like it's still I can't even wrap my head around it, so.
Again, on behalf of the board, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And I know a number of your classmates are starting to get kind of that next batch of acceptances to their different colleges, universities, so that's pretty cool.
It's definitely exciting to see where everyone is planning to head off.
That's right, exciting days ahead, to be sure. Lauren, Meyer, is there anything else we're missing from student council or anything else that we thought of that the board might want to know for now?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it.
All right, good job. Anybody else have a question for them? Vice President Stefani, I think they're good to go. I know Maya's got to be out of here by a certain point, so.
Yep.
I think we're ahead of schedule.
Go ahead, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
I know we have a recognition coming up, but just prior to that, we have the public comment section. So I don't know if anyone's here for the public comment section. If so, there's some rules here. So is anyone here for public comment to address the board? All right, hearing none, then we are down to the recognition point of the evening. And this is WIAA Fall Sports Season State Qualifiers, individuals and teams. I think we have Athletic Director Dupuy and also Principal Nervy are going to talk to us about this.
As they're stepping forward, so again, the board has a process, we know certain months of the year. Some months, I think technically December falls into employees, but there's times we make a departure when timing wise. So with again, some of the excitement from the fall sports season, we had talked and thought, why don't we do this now in the December meeting? So Principal Nervy, all yours.
Thank you. This is always one of the exciting moments when I get to bring students up in front of you to celebrate some great successes. So I asked our athletic director, Mr. Dupuy, to join me and introduce our students who made it to state competition this fall for WIA. So we have representatives from the boys soccer team, obviously, cross country, girls swim, and we just want to publicly recognize them for their outstanding achievements of making it to state this year. So I'm going to ask Mr. Dupuy to kind of come up here and just share some information about the teams and the individual students.
First off, I want to thank Principal Nervy and the school board for allowing us to be here tonight. These are always special meetings as we get to highlight some of the amazing accomplishments of our student athletes and teams and coaches. And so is Delaney here? I don't think I saw her, but I'll talk about her a little bit. Delaney Skiba in cross country. This season, she beat every time for her races. that she raced in this year compared to last year, set personal records multiple times throughout the season. Delaney also placed in the top 10 in every race that she competed in and placed in the top 5 during 3 of those races. Throughout the season, she continued to drop off of her 5K race time, eventually setting a new school record of 19 minutes and 54 seconds for girls cross country. Delaney qualified for the state cross country meet with a 5th place finish at sectionals, and at state, Delaney was able to place 65th out of 150 for the Division II girls meet. She's only a sophomore, so we look forward to the next 2 years with her. She also runs track, so we're excited about that. So congrats to Delaney in cross country. I'm going to call up Chloe. Girls swim. So girls swim had another strong year. They placed 3rd overall in conference and had strong performances all year by Chloe Beeson. Chloe earned 2nd team all conference honors in the 200 medley relay and 400-yard freestyle relay. Chloe also earned 1st team all conference honors in the 100-yard butterfly. At the WI State Swimming Championships, Chloe shined on her lead off leg of the 400 free relay. She started the relay off in a major race, swimming her fastest ever recorded flat foot start in a remarkable 57.95 seconds. Her contributions to the relay helped the group drop a remarkable 4 seconds to finish with a season best at 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Her leadership, character, and spirit will be greatly missed in the years to come, as she has left an incredible mark on the Door County United team and program. Boy, why don't you talk a little bit just about yourselves, what you're involved in, maybe at the high school, and just tell the board a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a senior, obviously here, but I am in Hope Squad, Project 180, and Service Club. And yeah, I've been swimming for 10 years. It's been a big part of my life. So I definitely enjoy that. And then
Congrats, Chloe. Great job this year. Like many of our student athletes, Chloe's involved in multiple things, and you know, Principal Nerby, myself, obviously our school district, you know, character, leadership, those things are important, and Chloe is a spitting image of that. I'm gonna call up the boys soccer team managers. Anybody that's here for boys soccer, come on up, guys. Right on. All right.
Lined up, I'll just say, Mr. Dupuy, any parent who wants to come over and get a shot right over our shoulders here, you feel free, so.
Glad
And you don't have to get the glares from your child because I invited you. So.
See, some are still sporting the blonde.
That's right. All right, so our boys soccer team, the boys soccer team finished with an undefeated regular season record in conference play in 11-0-1 for another conference championship. They finished with an overall record of 16-3-2 for the regular season. The team earned the #1 seed in the WI playoffs. They won their 17th straight regional title. Coach Todd Moss secured his 300th win as the boys' head coach in the sectional semifinal. The sectional final game was a super exciting match to watch, with the Clippers winning in a shootout. Ross Britka had some tremendous saves in the shootout, and Packland Conference MVP Will Estes stepped up to the penalty kick and put it in the back of the net after having surgery only a few weeks prior. One of the most exciting games I've ever been a part of. Just amazing. I think I went up to Will and Coach Moss afterwards, and I was like, this is what movies are made of. He walks out there with a brace on, steps up, puts it in the back of the net. Just amazing.
You should have seen Mr. Dupuy.
I was excited.
He was pushing people around.
Yeah. The state games were just as impressive, with Daniel Weekey scoring on a corner kick, goal Olympico, right? That's what it's called, right? To win the contest in the state semifinal game. I'm gonna be honest, if you're a soccer fan, I don't think I've seen that, but maybe a few times in my career. And I'm talking, you know, this was at a high level state championship game, to score on a corner kick untouched, to put us ahead to win the game. It was amazing. We had a great student section, great fan support from our community. Awesome. The state final game, another thriller. Unfortunately, in double OT, the opponent scored with less than a minute to go. But just a tremendous season, just a tremendous season. Everybody involved, the managers, the coaching staff, the kids. I think I said in the second game that I saw this season, I was talking to coach, our principal Nerby, and I said, man, we really look good. Our speed is great. Our touches on our ball, our spacing. I think we're gonna do something special this year, and we did something special. So super great job. Why don't we go down the line and just introduce yourselves, maybe the grade you're in. We got a lot of talent coming back next year too, so hopefully we make a deep run.
All right, I'm Jackson. I'm a sophomore.
Isaiah, I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm a senior.
I'm a senior.
I'm Simon and I'm also a senior.
I'm Daniel and I'm a junior. I'm Yoni, I'm also a junior.
I'm Aiden and I'm a junior.
I'm Will, I'm a senior.
I'm Ross and I'm a junior. I'm Noah and I'm a junior. I'm Ash, I'm a freshman. I'm Cedar and I'm a junior.
I'm Kamal and I'm a junior.
I'm Calvin and I'm a junior.
I'm Paul, I'm a freshman.
I'm Conan, I'm a freshman.
I'm Lexi, I'm a senior. I'm Ada, I'm a freshman.
Once again, great job. Once again, congratulations to all athletes and coaches on a terrific season, and thanks again to the school board, the district, and our community for supporting Clipper athletics. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
School board meetings are super exciting, so you're welcome to stay. However, my guess is you can come up with something else to do, so we'll just pause a moment so you can head on your way. Thank you. Thank you, parents.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Yeah.
There's three seniors.
I feel like it's five.
They're not all
Six.
They were, yeah, because they had said they were seniors.
It's not many. Wayne is both 16 years old. Feel like? I don't remember if that was including Will or not, as far as who was available late this season.
What's that?
Both 16 years? Give or take?
Yeah, not one of them.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
There's a couple more defenders, couple of spots, but
Missed this.
3/4 of the squad, or squad.
Here.
Well, that's good.
Just,
Here's indeed.
that was tonight. Oh, I
think it's
forgot.
I used to do that. I did that so many times when I was little.
Imagine. Hey.
All right, I think I'm gonna continue now with the consent agenda. The consent agenda, consists of the following. Point one, approve the meeting minutes in your board packet, November 19th of 2025, regular Board of Education meeting, and also the December 3rd of 2025, board learning session. Point two, approve the November bills that are in your packet. Point three, acceptance and donations. We have $500 from Matthew and Kimberly McGrath for the middle school dance team. $4,500 from Clyde Lewandowski for middle school robotics. And $750 is donated from Max and Gail Lard educational funds for Door County Schools author visit. Point four, under resignations or retirements, we have Lori Schneider is resigning from her position in food service effective January 29th of 2026. Eric Tauschek has resigned from his head boys golf coaching position. Eliza Dwagstrom is resigning from her elementary art teaching position at Sunrise Sawyer. Point five, approve the Sturgeon Bay High School course description book for 2026-27 school year. The course selection and scheduling process gets underway well before the end of the year. The course description guide comes to you for approval in the winter. Changes are highlighted in the Sturgeon Bay High School principal report from Mr. Nerby. Point six, approve this kind of similar kind of bookend. Approve TJ Walker Middle School course offering for the 2025. Got to get better at this. 2026-2027 school year. Since the course selection and scheduling process gets underway well before the end of the year, we want the course description guide to come to you for approval prior to that point, and having the middle school course offerings approved the same month as the high school course offerings are approved appears both effective and efficient. A motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented is recommended. Anyone?
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented from Commissioner Cruz, and seconded by Commissioner Spritka. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to the operations agenda. The first thing is we have a approval of teacher associates. Tristan Hamberly.
Yeah, just one staff approval for you this evening. Principal Katie Smullen and Sunrise Elementary would be pleased to welcome Trista Haberly as a teaching associate in the ID autism classroom. Trista comes to us with more than 10 years of experience working at a long-term care facility, eventually being promoted to assistant director of operations there. The team feels her knowledge of giving great patient care and leadership will transfer well to working with our students with autism here in the district. A motion to approve Trista Haberly as a teaching associate in the ID autism program is recommended.
I'll move to approve Trista Haverly as a teaching associate in the ID autism program.
We have a second.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Haas, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve Trista Haberly as the teaching associate in the ID autism program. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Point three, school safety drill summaries.
Yeah, just an informational item. Again, I'll touch on this since we don't do it that often. Districts now are conducted, as you've heard the last several years, to conduct at least one safety drill per year. As you've heard from us before, we typically hold safety drills each quarter in addition to monthly fire drills, etc. I believe that this should be done at the school manor in a manner that's appropriate for the young people, parents, and staff members involved with that building, right? So what we do at Sawyer at times might be a little different than maybe on this campus, as you've heard before. You see in your meeting packet those three reports technically, right? So Keith and Mark do a combined one for this secondary campus. So some information about different things they did. You actually see three different dates there with the lockdown drill date specific to December 2nd. The following document is something from Principal Katie Smullen about dates they did some things, including a specific one in October. More information about that one as far as Sunrise. And then Principal Katie DeVillers, of course, something similar as far as different dates. Included information, for example, she put in there tornado drills, etc. And then how they did modified lockdown and lockdown drills this fall with our littles over at Sawyer. So again, for your information that goes on, again, the Sturgeon Bay Police Department, Officer Jenna Dunn and others are resources whenever principals or staff have questions. Again, just an informational item. Anyone question for the moment? All right.
So next we're down to the open enrollment capacity. Again, another informational item.
Yeah, the board's familiar how this works, so I'll summarize the notes for the record in case anyone's watching wondering about this. So the board and team looked at some of this information in our December learning session. And really, I can summarize by saying all boards in the state of Wisconsin need to take action on open enrollment capacities at some point during the month of January. So in the new school year, technically those don't apply until next school year. Although there are some kind of odd DPI things that can impact alternative applications yet this year. So what we did is we had in the packet the same document you would have seen prepared by Director Ferry as far as, okay, here's where we're at really. So the short version is not setting capacity on the regular ed side since we have room. Last year, we had kind of a mix of some of these programs in special ed, as I'm pointing at the colored one you've seen before, had open seats, some didn't. As Lindsay and the team went through it, they're feeling like moving forward next year, we do not have capacity based on, what we have with staffing and student needs, et cetera, on the special ed side. So what we had done, Ann worked, touch base with Lindsay, and then I dusted off the document you've seen before. And that's why we slid you a paper copy, not to throw you off. This is the version you'll actually end up approving next month, like we typically would. Same type of format, right? It's a little shorter because we were able to condense it. Has some of the procedures at the bottom when it comes to a sibling in the same family and so forth. So again, just informational. Nothing has really changed since the info you got in conjunction with the December learning session. This would be then just a standard item up for action in the January 2026 regular board meeting. So again, we've looked at it this way really the last several years with tweaks the last couple of years, dialing in on not setting capacities for regular ed at this point, but yes, in essence, zeroing out special ed. If you think of a question even beyond tonight, Lindsay or I'd be happy to address that for you.
Just a quick
Yes.
question, the
Yes, Commissioner Mayer.
document that's attached in our agenda items, is that going to be the open enrollment numbers, or will this change slightly yet?
Good question. That document attached is, we put in here what matched what we sent you with the learning session. And then in essence, we took those open seats, so the far right column in the packet you and I are looking at, the zeros, and I filled them in onto this document, right? So some of you have seen this several times. I suppose Commissioner Starr, maybe officially the first time with the board. So I took the kind of historic format and then took what you pointed out, Kathy, you're absolutely right, the most updated special ed information and combined those two.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, good question. Anybody else for the moment? Otherwise, if you think of something, let us know. Otherwise, again, you'll see it next month. President Stefani, that's all I have on that one.
All right, so next we have first reading board policy 5430 class rank.
Yeah, board policy 5430, probably of all the board policies, right? So as you know, we work with Neola. I'll get to Keith's notes for us here in just a moment. This would be the one going back to probably my first or second year working with then Principal Nickel that we probably change from the Neola kind of standard template more than any other for pretty obvious reasons to match specifically what we're looking for from Sturgeon Bay, or in this case, Sturgeon Bay High School. All right, so as far as graduation requirements, and then now the link, if you will, to class rank to dial in a little bit more even. So 5430 class rank. This is not a part of the normal, how shall we say, rotation. Like Ann and I just got the Neola update on Monday about the next batch. I know you're all excited, right? So this would be separate, as Principal Nerby has identified, right, coming out of not just the customized graduation requirement one I mentioned, but this one that we've got something we want to make sure we get out in front of. I'll read this, and then maybe if you just want to wander down Principal Nerby, just in case a question comes up, then you're right here. All right, so summary of policy changes. So beginning in the 2026-2027 school year, weighted GPA quality points, you see the note in parentheses, will apply only to approved advanced placement, technical college and university courses offered at Sturgeon Bay High School and taught by a Sturgeon Bay High School teacher, with an exception for documented scheduling conflicts. This change narrows eligibility for weighted courses to primarily in-house instruction with Sturgeon Bay High School teachers. This actually aligns with the original weighted grading policy from years ago, with more students taking online classes or classes taught outside of Sturgeon Bay High School. Feels necessary to ensure the weighted grades align with the curriculum and standards of Sturgeon Bay. No other changes to the graduation policy or the calculation of GPA would be changed. All other aspects of the policy would continue as described in the current policy, including the following, and then probably we can fill in an example or two for their benefit key so they understand kind of the driver behind this. Board formally defines 2 honor graduate categories for graduation, right? We see the high honors and honors with those designations and colored cords. Valedictorian criteria, including requirement for students complete last 6 quarters or remain full-time for 2 quarters following designation at Sturgeon Bay High School. GPA and class rank updated after each transcripted grading period, rounded to 3 decimal places, aligning calculations with both district recognition and the Wisconsin Academic Excellence Scholarship requirements. Again, no formal action at this time as it's a first reading. It would come back in January 2026. Maybe I'll tee it up, Keith, for you, and then any questions from the board. So there are programs out there that are good programs for kids and families and schools. Okay, one example would be the Rising
Rising
Phoenix program with UWGB. Okay, what in essence, Keith and probably Jenny O'Hanley and others have taken a look at that, and Keith approached me. What would happen, although that's a cool program, and I can let you give the board just a snippet on that if they're not already aware, is that those students, because of the number of courses they would take through the UWGB program, would basically have, for lack of a better term tonight, an unfair advantage beyond any other student having, in essence, so many more weighted classes that probably the only way to end up as a valedictorian or salutatorian would be to be a part of that program. All right,
Yeah.
so in looking at that, he thought, okay, before this turns into, you know, a problem that whether you or I or others hear about, like, oh boy, now we're starting to get a situation with students who aren't, you know, doing much coursework here. He thought, okay, I gotta try to calculate, you know, try to figure out a way to cut that off at the pass. So first of all, what is Rising Phoenix as an example? And then what would you add to that before we see what questions they might have?
Sure. So I came to you about a year ago and talked about Rising Phoenix program that we are a part of. And so it's through UW Green Bay. It gives our students an opportunity to take their classes through UW Green Bay classes. And they basically are earning dual credits, right? They're able to earn 2 years worth of college credits, get their first 2 years done, and earn high school credits, which is a great opportunity for our students and our families to be able to have those first 2 years of college basically paid for no cost to them. And our students get those first 2 years of college out of the way and earn their high school diploma at the same time. So it was a great opportunity. We have 5 students each year. We've had 5 students. We have 10 students in that program right now. Our first cohort is senior class right now, who now are in it for their second year. And we have a group that started this year as sophomores. It's a 2-year program. So it's a sophomore, junior, senior program. It's been a great opportunity. But because they're taking almost all of their credits dual enrolled through UW Green Bay, they receive that bump. And so those students are getting it for every single class that they're taking for the most part. Some of our students still take band here and a few other courses that they want to here. They're able to do that. But otherwise, all of those credits are earned with that bump, meaning they're almost guaranteed to be picking our salutatorian and valedictorian through that program, which in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. But our students who are taking all of their classes here at Sturgeon Bay High School then don't have that opportunity. They could still take courses through college. They can still do all of that. Our students here, we have many students here who take college courses and get that bump, but it's really hard to compete with all of those courses that they're taking through that the Rising Phoenix UW Green Bay program. So that was a piece of it. The other piece that I really looked at is we have more and more students looking at online learning, and we'll talk more about that actually in February at our board retreat. I have some information I'll share about that. But as we have more students doing that, quite honestly, we could potentially have students who don't step foot in this building at all, who are taking college level courses or courses online that could potentially be a valedictorian or salutatorian, and really never even be stepping in Sturgeon Bay High School or having one of our Sturgeon Bay High School teachers as their teacher. And I just find that hard to swallow, to be perfectly honest with you, hard to think about that, you know, we'd be doing that with a student who isn't enrolled in classes here at Sturgeon Bay High School. So this kind of addresses both of those issues. It gives us control over that curriculum and that ability. So students who still take college level courses that are taught through here, which we have many courses that are taught by our teachers that are college level, that are accredited, they would receive that bump. AP courses would receive that bump. The one exception that Dan had talked about was if there's a scheduling conflict or a scheduling issue. So we want to be conscious and understand that we're a school of 360 students that we build a schedule of. We have a lot of opportunities and offerings to our students. But that means that we have a lot of what we call singleton classes. If you're not familiar with what that term means, it means we offer one class, right? So, you know, APUSH, AP US History. We have one section of that class running because of the number of kids we have. So, you know, a student who's taking that, but is also taking AP Calc BC, who's also taking, you know, AP Chemistry, whatever. There's all these opportunities. We try to build our schedule so there aren't those conflicts, so those students can take all of those courses. Inevitably, it doesn't always work, and so students have to make some choices. Our one caveat that we've kind of written into this is to say, if a student wants to take those courses and it can't fit in their schedule and they need to take an online course to fit that, we may allow that for the bump because it's no fault of their own. We offer the course, we just can't get it to fit in their schedule by the constraints we have here in this building. That makes sense. That's where that one kind of exception is drilled out.
We wanted to make sure Keith could touch on that, because what we also don't want, you want a little bit of flexibility built in, right? Because I remember those scheduling days. But we also didn't want it so general where you're wondering like, well, what's the exception? Right? Where whoever the high school principal is at that moment likes the student, but not that student, and whatnot. It's like, okay, based on scheduling and those types of parameters. And really, right, when doing the schedule, you start with those singletons and a lot of the music classes, right? But even starting and giving those preferential scheduling treatment, there's still times where, you know, a conflict can arise.
Sure.
Why do we weight the classes,
Great
AP and college courses at all?
Yep, I think that's a great question, and one that we even talked about, here is, not every school does that. Some schools do, many schools do, not all of them do. It's meant as a way to honor or recognize that there's extra rigor or a higher level course. And so schools use that as a way to kind of recognize that students are putting in probably a college level effort for those courses. And that's the idea behind it, if that makes sense.
Is that kind
So it
of,
only counts though if you're in the building taking those level classes versus outside of the building.
Or working with a high school teacher. That's what we believe will be the case, and
That's
you
better.
dangled it, so I will
Yeah.
say, so as we look to the future and virtual. Okay, again, this is based off current policy, what you're saying, Commissioner Schultz, boards talk about that, right? So I've experienced that in my high school days, like some go to weighted, some go away from weighted, it's a much bigger conversation. Keith's not looking to make a change to what we currently have, but the group certainly could talk about it. And I think as we look at virtual, we're thinking, well, as there's more and more demand for that, we want to be able to supplement that. Theoretically, it could be, let's just take Zach Gobush, English, right? Or
Sure.
put me in his spot in my English days, right? Where one of his classes theoretically could be working. And it wouldn't have to be synchronously, it could be asynchronously with a group of kids taking an online English class that we think, as that progresses in the future, would be better than a kid just signing on with an online class who they might be enrolling through us and all that kind of stuff, but taking it through Wisconsin Virtual School or the RVA or some other offerings. We're saying, boy, when possible, there's a group of kids that need something, and again, English is a simple example, right? Kid needs 4 credits, like, wouldn't it be great if they can still take that with us? So we're not at that point now, but we're trying to look ahead and say, wouldn't that be probably better for kids and families who want the flexibility, but still a local teacher they can work with and contact, rather than some faceless person in McFarland who they will never meet. So basically, as Keith's working on this, it's like, okay, how do we try to take that into account too? Knowing there are different ways that theoretically that could go. Good questions. What else do you wonder?
I do have a question too. I guess I never realized that it's only based on the GPA. I thought when choosing a salutatorian and a valedictorian, like, I thought activities were, like, I thought if you're FBLA president, you're a student council president, and you're a Eagle Scout, I thought that played a role in choosing, but it doesn't.
It doesn't, not according to school board policy, it really is the top
I thought
student in
we
the.
kind of looked for like the all around. Okay,
But maybe
I
like
can't think of,
NHS for the different components, or I'm just trying to
yeah,
think
so
of like.
that's a good point. So National Honor Society does look at the totality of all of the students, so you have to hit each of the pillars. There's
Right.
5 pillars, and that looks at, your leadership, your involvement, those things. Salutatorian, valedictorian, under our policy is
but not
strictly
valedictorian, salutatorian.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
This is probably a question for Dan and whatever, does any school have board policy? Because this is gonna be a bigger deal, like you outlined that someone might be valedictorian or salutatorian and never walk into this building. do any schools like kind of put a rule against that? I mean, it's fine that they get that kind of GPA, but do we want that? I mean, that's a bigger conversation we'd have to talk about, but do schools allow that everywhere or do they not?
You mean allow like a student who doesn't step foot in the building to become
Correct.
their valedictorian student?
Yes,
Obviously, I don't know all schools. I know in the research or, different programs I've been a part of, most schools have some sort of something like this or something that makes that either impossible or very unlikely. Because again, it just doesn't seem to fit
right.
what feels right. If a school is issuing that to one of their students, to not have that student be on their campus or a part of their school. So many schools, and I can't, obviously I haven't looked at every single school and that kind of thing, but most of the schools that I've been a part of or that I'm aware of have some sort of parameter that addresses that issue. They might do it very differently, right? Some may expressly state that, right? You can't be 100% online, or you can't be, others, do it in different ways.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, question?
I would say, so in my high school principal years, we had a board policy, believe it or not, in Ripon, that there was no valedictorian or salutatorian. So as far as different views of that, and again, that predated me by years, which was just part of their history. So there was a top student or two because of the Wisconsin Academic Excellence Scholarship. It's not that our kids didn't get a chance to win that, one of those or two of those in the years we were big enough. But they had took an approach that, nope, we're not singling out in that way. So graduation speakers were chosen in a different manner. So to your question, there can be a variety of ways to look at designating valedictorian, salutatorian, even to the point of there is no valedictorian, salutatorian. So yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Other things that pop to mind for now, bearing in mind you might think of something later, and certainly reach out to Keith and me, as you well know. Trying to be, again, proactive, I think, right, as you've identified this, like, okay, before we end up with a big mess, let's try to move this through.
And I will say we had discussions too. So, this policy is taking effect for the upcoming scheduling year. So one, trying to get this out before students would be scheduling. So that they're aware and families know that, this would be the policy for students who are scheduling moving forward. But we did talk about, is there, gradual, all right, starting in, giving students some more time. But really trying to be the most equitable and just kind of base it on where students are at and what they've done already. Starting it. And so any student who may have already taken a college course, they would have had that bump because when they took that course, that was the policy. So moving forward, starting with the upcoming scheduling year is the how it's worded to start.
And right, Principal Nerby, I mean, a student to the individual recognition piece, right, can earn honors or high honors without taking any of those additional multiplier weighted courses, right?
Correct.
So still, even if a student or family for good reason says this is the way we're going, well, they can still be an honor student or a high honor student. So that's not being withheld by any means. So I think that makes sense too.
Any other questions? Other than that, then I'm gonna keep you in the penalty box. Can you just go right on to your report? Since we're down.
Yes, I can. I think actually, I just wanted to mention a couple things. So, we heard from Lionel, who received her scholarship. I just wanted to mention that in the last 2 weeks, we've had students who've earned over $630,000 in scholarships. I couldn't hear from back there if she shared, not only did she get accepted to Stanford, she got a full ride to Stanford, valued at almost $400,000. Her entire college is paid for, which is stunning. And as a parent whose son is a junior and we're looking at all that, so that's fantastic. But we have Ryan Fellhofer received a $116,000 scholarship this week.
I think some of his work is right behind you, right?
Yes, yeah, this is his artwork right here, actually. And Sid Forrest also earned a $120,000 scholarship in the past couple weeks. So just in the last few weeks, the amount of scholarships our students are earning is staggering and very exciting to see. We have our senior academic awards program coming up in March. And that's where we really get a chance to celebrate our students and talk about that. Last year, our students collectively over $1 million in scholarships, which is staggering for our building and our Sturgeon Bay community. So really exciting things, and that'll be coming out. Students are starting to be awarded those. So just wanted to share that with you. We also have, I had mentioned our Reality Rocks, or our reality store that we're going to be doing. Those are for our students who get the opportunity to kind of experience what life is like when they leave here, and they, the game of life. I think I mentioned last month or the month before that. That's coming up in March as well, where our students will get an opportunity. Here's your job, here are your bills, here's what's going on. So really get an opportunity to understand and learn what that looks like for them as adults. Because it's funny, I'm gonna make, $30,000 and live on the water, and for them to kind of be able to experience what that means and what that looks like. It's just a great opportunity. So we're excited for that. We also received word today of the Door County Career Fair that our students will be a part of. March is a very busy month for us. So I know that's a few months away, but I just wanted to share some of those exciting things that are coming up. So our students will be participating in that Door County Career Fair. So whether they're going into college, whether they're going right into the workforce, going into the military, all of these opportunities, exposing our students to those is fantastic. And the last thing I just want to mention, this is for, the dozens and dozens and hundreds of people listening online. We are finishing up here quickly. So we only have a few days left. My daughter is putting a nice little countdown every day. I think we're down to 4 days of school. But our semester ends in just a few weeks. So we get back on January 5th, and January 23rd, our semester 1 exams. And so I just want to remind our families and students to finish strong, because it's coming up very, very quickly. And then as you know, we will start registering our students, or scheduling our students for next year's classes when we get back in January. We're moving that schedule up a little bit in order to be proactive in what classes are running and what that will look like for our schedule. But they'll start doing that here too, right when we get back from the holiday break. So just wanted to share that there's a lot going on, but it's an exciting time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding all those amazing scholarships, is there someone at the school that helps the kids like identify opportunities?
Yeah, so we actually have a website that has if you go on the high school website, there's a link that has a page of scholarships that we put on there, or when people reach out to us and tell us, or Mrs. O'Hanley finds those types of things of an opportunity. So Mrs. O'Hanley does a great job of helping students with their scholarship work. Our teachers work really hard with them. Abby Jacobson's one that a lot of students meet with to help with their essays and those types of things. And so we don't have like a position that's just that, but Mrs. O'Hanley handles most of our scholarships and the recognitions. And so getting those out to students is critical. And I will tell parents all the time, there's more scholarships than students are even aware of. Many times we hear from people, listen, I have 4 scholarships to give away and I've had 3 applications. Can you get this out? So there's a lot of opportunities, and so we try to get that out to all of our students. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We're gonna do a little bit different order. Jake Holton, the business manager, if you could do yours first. 'Cause
Sure.
I know you have somewhere to be.
Yeah, so. My reports in the packets, some projections there. We did actually at our admin team meeting today, I talked a little bit about staffing plan. We did kind of nail down one position that won't be refilled next year. Making good headways on some other positions that will fill in here in the next, call it month and a half, at least by the board retreat. So food service going much better this year, at least through November. I think end of January will be a good benchmark. As you note in my report, through December, we've got 3 payrolls. So that's going to throw in shorter schedules. So less opportunity for food sales and reimbursements. But I think once we get through January, that'll be of course, the ship will be righted as far as number of days and stuff to be claimed. With that, much more optimistic than this time last year. Finally, the audit was turned in on time by our auditors. to DPI on Monday, the 15th. This is in the business office calendar. I do have those copies. I will be sending them out tomorrow. Those are usually officially accepted at the January meeting, so I'll send it out tomorrow. I know it's an easy read, but some exciting reading if you want over the holidays. So that's what I have right now. Questions?
And maybe just to set their minds at ease, as we discussed, are there any particular areas of concern from the auditors?
No.
I didn't want him to dangle that and anyone worry like, oh, are we gonna see any bad news? No, so.
Other than some of the usual.
The
things,
usual.
Because of.
Right.
Separation.
Well, you'll see separate or segregation of duties,
Yeah.
and
Right.
there are notes along with that.
Yeah.
We're just, in preparation of the financial statements that are in the audit, we're just not big enough to be able to employ, people that can put forth the time to, put together those financial statements that you see. Nor are we big enough to employ people to have the complete segregation of duties, that they would love to see. So, normal things in there, always looking at them as best we can. But a big uphill battle to get those off as well.
And I remember from other years, just for the boards of people watching, that this is normal for a district our size.
Yes.
This isn't just a Sturgeon Bay thing. This is a normal thing because they're kind of benching us against maybe a super big metropolitan area where the business office has what,
Right.
you know, much more staff.
Right, you
Yeah.
think of gap in the public world, generally accepted accounting procedures, that's right. Usually some higher standards, that sometimes you just, again, because of the size, we just can't get there.
Thanks, Jake. So now should we go back to the regular?
We can go to Principal Smullen coming on down. Maybe while he's coming down, I will just cover from your board packet. Jenny Spooty and Food Service did do a little one-page report for you. Some of that actually dovetails with what Jake was talking about with numbers, participation. She shared the example of the middle school breakfast participation, which Mark is well aware of and has more insight on than I do. So some of those specifics. She also shared a little bit about some of the greenhouse and progress there, getting more kids in there again and some of the cool stuff happening. Also talked, I know she was talking with one of the large employers in the county who wanted to do some assistance with some of our families falling behind. And I told Jenny, yeah, absolutely. Give them the basic info and also be able to share that with you. That yes, there are families that fall behind, and while certainly some qualify for free and reduced lunch, some don't. The good news is even with some of those somewhat alarming figures to date, all families have, other than one that she has in this note about bankruptcy, have caught that up by the time the child graduates, because then the child can be in the ceremony right when the fines, fees, detentions are caught up, etc. Jenny and I also talked about, though, that at some point, as we look at demographic changes, by no means just in our community or county, but in our state and country, it's possible that we'll see an increase in some of the, numbers of families that historically our families have really always been paid up, other than that one example. It's possible in the future that there could be a few more that don't. So what types of things and strategies will we want to employ over time to try to reduce that as best we can? So a little bit more involved, but anyway, she's got that for you if you didn't get a chance to peek at that yet. Principal Smullen, what do you got?
3 things. You said the first one,
Yep.
just Jenny and I planned to try to improve our breakfast servings because we want to help out increase what she can bring into the department. See an example of that. This is like November of last year, 822 breakfasts were sold. Okay, so all we did is the little change we made is during our 5-minute the passing time we had in already, pushed down 2 carts, got a couple extra people, one of the staff people help. And this last month, we served 1,777 breakfasts. So to give you an idea, there's one area that really stands out to me, besides the pay, right? The people that pay families that like pay in full, that doubled. But the kids that qualified for free breakfast went from 411 to 901. So you just know they're fed more, they're coming in fed, and guess what happens? They're paying attention more, doing better academically, they're not getting in trouble. So I think that's Jenny and her staff and people on our staff that helped make that happen and being a little patient making this, because it is, we brought in some news stations and articles were put in the Pulse. So I just think that's important to see that people understand like what we're trying to do to just address hunger, right? Just and make, so it can equate to learn and behavior. Secondly, if you were around this week on Monday, Mr. Vanderloop, I bring him up, he's I don't know, I guess, were you there? I guess not, you moved on, were you? It just, he has a thing he put on, it's a trilogy of a thing called, composition, his name, the composer's name is Randall Standridge. He wrote some music called Sand the Barbarian, it's a trilogy, each grade, what's cool is to watch, each grade played a different piece of this. And you can see the developmental and the growth of the kids. And just today, he's down in Chicago at the Midwest Music Conference. And guess who he got a picture with? His little hero, Mr. Forgive me if I get his name, but I think.
I saw the picture, he was afternoon, Spencer had it out on.
The
Facebook.
guy is flying high, trust me. The band thing, I don't get it, but.
Band teacher heaven.
And then this last good news, I think it's just important because like you talk about, the arts and athletics and, getting kids fed and academics, but it just, we haven't had this in my time that we've seen here, but our 8th grade boys basketball team went undefeated. They won the last 30 conference games. They won the 8th grade conference tournament. The final score, the final game was 70-33 over Kiwanee. It's a school that we always have a lot of.
At Kiwanee, I believe.
At Kiwanee. And a parent to your side over to my right, your left is Mr. Starr. His son Anderson Starr went off for 25 points. Is I think his biggest game of all. And just the team and the coach, just a great unit. I think you got a lot of fun things to see out of these. There's definitely a core of 3 or 4 that really stand out, and a couple other guys that know how to play the role. So a lot of cool things to see. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
25 or is that a check?
Greetings, Mrs. Smullen. What's happening at Sunrise?
We had beautiful holiday concerts too. Mrs. Feaster does an insanely beautiful job, and we were in the auditorium, not the gym this year, which both Katie DeVillers and I were like, thank you. It was just the acoustics, and Miss Feaster was so grateful too for that, but the kids did an awesome job. So that's the big thing. We're really proud of them and their cute little outfits, but all the singing and very joyful. One thing I wanted to share with you is a very cool article that came out recently, and I haven't put it on Facebook yet or asked for it to be because it's interactive and I wanted to explain it to you so that when people talked, I don't know, so you could explain it to them too, but it's really exciting. There was a new analysis, I don't want to read it for you, but basically it took all these districts throughout the entire country, looked at the poverty levels of the children and the reading scores. And to see who is beating the odds and teaching kids to read. And they created this interactive data plot situation here. And so these little dots are all the schools in Wisconsin. So you hover, it's like Milwaukee, Madison, Southern Doors, Vastapol, Gibraltar, everybody is in here in the elementary land. It took 3rd grade reading scores, and if you can see, this is districts that are 3rd grade reading proficiency, that are reading really high in proficiency, and then this is those who are on free and reduced lunch, all right? And so less affluent in this area, more affluent over in this area. And so we're gonna select Sturgeon Bay School District, and you can go through and do this for any state you want. And
we will get the board this article, right? We talked
Yeah.
this morning in our meeting,
Yeah.
right? But you wanted to preview it tonight and I said, have at it.
and then I'll email you, which I'm like, I've never emailed the board before, so I will do that. But the little bright spots are the top 5% of kids, districts that are doing that. And there we are, Sunrise Elementary School. We are one of the 5% of schools in the entire state of Wisconsin that are beating the odds. Our poverty level at that grade, this was from 23-24, so it's our current 5th graders when they were in 3rd grade. They were 55% were students of poverty. They said that was expected, only 45% should have read proficiently, and we were at 66%. And since then, our reading proficiency has only increased. I mean, it's only been, another year or two, but it's like we're just continuing to improve. So it is really cool to see us in that little bright spot. Because there aren't very many of them, but there we are. And it's really fun to look at and then also just celebrate because you all made the decisions to get reading coaches, to get ahead of it, to trust the science of reading, to do all the things. And that, anyway, so I just want to say thank you. And it's like paying off. And this is like the work that's being done at Sawyer and to Sunrise, and it just keeps going. So that is all I have because it's kind of a cool thing to share. So any questions or?
Maybe after they read it, oh, go ahead.
I got a goofy, so when we did that whole reading thing, Tina remembers that,
Yeah.
one of the things was, dyslexia. Was something that we were hoping to get better at, being able to teach a student that's suffering with dyslexia for reading. Do we have any, I know that's might not be in this dot plot, but do we know, is that better too?
Well, we can't diagnose that as a school district, as a staff, but what we do have is really highly trained reading specialists and not just reading specialists, but we sent, Lindsay said, special ed teachers to training to help work with kids who are identified with dyslexia or who have qualities that say this child most likely has dyslexia. What we are doing with the explicit phonics instruction is helping everybody across the board because that's like, especially at the younger grades, it's like teaching the code to read. And so kids with dyslexia, they just need a lot of repetition of that. And so getting them that extra intervention time, like that's the tier 2. And then if those kiddos that while they're still not getting it, then that's that tier 3 intervention. So it's just more repetition of that. So we're just getting better at that. And then having staff who can dedicate time to help those kids in small groups that really need it, that helps drive it all forward.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you,
It
Katie.
was a big team effort. And you guys, major part of it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just say, unofficially, as I walk up to the podium, that when you get that article, it might be interesting for you to search the other school districts in the area on that article to see if they're on there.
Yeah, they're
I did that.
Where's he good?
All right, I just have two quick things for you today. First, of course, I feel like I really do need to continue to bring up our Sturgeon Bay community programming classes. I know that seems like something just tertiary to all the conversation, but I mean, community events and getting community members into our buildings is really important, especially to us, but Cheryl Feaster is really always the driving force behind this. And I do need to say that one of our biggest supporters is also Mrs. Ann Demise. She always runs a class and is running block on the back end, answering questions and fielding registrations and things like that. So I'm excited for that to kick off. As of 5:30 this afternoon, there were 118 individual registrants for the community classes. So I might not mention it again until we have pictures and products to show you and things like that, but it's exciting. The only other thing I wanted to direct your attention to today is that I put this handout in front of you before you walked in today. And I just kind of want to highlight a couple of things. Artificial intelligence is something that we've been hearing a lot about in the world, not just in the school district, but of course, when we think about that in terms of our students, our teachers, and our kids, really, if we're parents, is that it can be a little bit scary. So I'm not going to dig through this, but I do want you to notice a couple of things. First, that we here in Sturgeon Bay have developed and approved as an admin team an AI philosophy that we'll continue to put in front of our staff as we develop professional development and skills that are dedicated to increasing communication and enhancing the work that we do here. And so you're welcome, obviously, to read this and ask any other follow-up questions you have either now or in the future. But the one thing that I want to direct your attention to is that in the staff column, this idea of second from the bottom, following a human in the loop model. And I think this is a really important thing for us to think about as a basic tenet that, you know, human in the loop, meaning that there always must be that human component. So yes, we can use artificial intelligence in ways to help enhance our work and our productivity and our creativity, but it must always be used in a way where we are the brains behind the operation, not just the staff, but the students as well. So anyway, if there are questions about that, I'm happy to answer them, but I'll be bringing some of this to the forefront from time to time as we work through this. Thanks.
Not a question, but a comment. I was at our spiel today, meeting with manufacturers. And one of the things was on talent retention. But one of the statistics they said around AI is it's going to replace about 90 million jobs. I can't remember what the time frame was, but it's also going to create 170 million jobs. That was quite amazing how it can create jobs, but yet eliminate a portion of them too. So if you're not embracing it, you're gonna get lost in it.
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to get the statistic wrong, but you'll get the idea. You know, many of the jobs that our kids will be applying for in 5 years don't exist right now. And so it isn't that jobs will disappear. It's that the jobs as they exist now will disappear. And we have to make sure that we morph and change so that we can meet that demand. So, I mean,
But
we
they're
can
still
look
gonna
at
need finishing systems to paint stuff, so.
always need teachers.
Welder, fabricator, to some extent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, thanks.
People will still want parks, Commissioner Stritko, and boat landings in particular.
No, they'll be able to go into that virtual reality.
Virtual trees,
Yeah.
I use it every day.
Director Ferry sends her greetings. She's at a session right now, dealing with some special education things. So she's reporting back, giving me the short version. I won't bug you with that for now, and then I'll get more details from her. That's all. We agreed that she would attend that session rather than our meeting tonight. I didn't think you'd mind, so it seemed useful. I think you have my report. I'll just talk kind of about one thing that pulls three of the things together. At last Friday's monthly superintendent meeting, so every other month we meet with legislators. All right, so I thought maybe this one would be a little more interesting than some, and indeed it was. I think ended well, and both the legislators and our Northeast Wisconsin superintendents know, you know, all of our people are best served when we're working together. I think an interesting nugget that I wanted to share with you that was a discussion point. I don't remember which of my colleagues had shared that with one of the legislators, and I kind of brought it back up. And it was the old saying about two wrongs don't make a right, which was kind of interesting. And it talked the conversation that I think everyone in the room agreed with, like things are playing out in Madison, right? I'm not talking federally, right? The way they are for a reason, right? So I think, and again, Joel speaks for the group quite a bit because he has a lot of the insight, but the concept of, so no dollars, for example, went into the general school aid or equalization aid, right? Which we know had an impact, like we said it would, because in particular, the Republicans, right, were upset with the governor, still are, about the veto dealing with the revenue limit authority. All right, and again, governor obviously wasn't present, right? But for those that would align with that thinking would say, well, the governor did that in part because there hadn't been inflationary increases given, right? And so I think in the room, what we talked about was, okay, Democrat, Republican, you know, for the superintendents, we could care less. Okay, but the point is, we're at where we're at, right? And Joel explained, like, well, the governor shouldn't have done it this way, and other people would say yes. But we're saying, like, in the end, right, when it comes to the kids we serve, the families we serve, the taxpayers we're responsible to, et cetera, right? Like, okay, we, especially in schools, this is getting bumpy, right? Just as our taxpayers would say, hey, there's things I'm learning about this. This is getting bumpy. So I think moving forward, none of this is going to change overnight, but I think there are more people becoming at least more aware that policy in Madison, all politics aside, right, is playing out that in general, local taxpayers are shouldering more of the burden. Right now, you are probably no different than me, or when Mike and I talk about it, or some of us talk about it, like we've talked to people whose taxes went up a little and a lot. We've talked to people whose taxes went down a little or a fair amount, depending on the whole situation. But in the end, it's like, okay, what we really need is for people to communicate with their elected representatives. And I think there's an appropriate way to say, apply appropriate pressure to say, hey, the people I work with, talk with, my neighbors, etc., we're having concerns. We really want our elected officials to be reminded that they need to serve their constituents. Right? Not just play politics, which I get right now, politics is what it is. So anyway, what's good is that out of a conversation like that, in a little room in Green Bay, Wisconsin, right, the legislators, we can thank them for their time, right? Even if they hear some of the frustration that basically we're just sharing on behalf of some of our people. And they can share like, okay, they're frustrated and here's where we're at and why. But then in the end, can we keep hopefully meeting every other month and talking about, are there some ways to try to, at least make some of this better? They're there and they plan to continue, at least a number of them attending our meetings, and we'll see where it goes. Which then kind of just dovetails, as you know, like we do our best to communicate. Not everyone, it's a complicated issue. We didn't throw a ton of information at people, but we gave people a couple key talking points about general school aid and special ed. When you think about it, that's about 5,000 letters. Thank you, Mrs. Demise, for your assistance. Right, if we gave 4,625 copies to the county treasurer's office, and we ran another 300 some for the town of Sebastopol mailer, right, that's pretty quick math. On the one hand, maybe we could say, oh, it's disappointing, we haven't heard from more people, right? I've had the one phone conversation and gotten one email that happens to be from a former board member that liked the letter approach and told everyone, keep it up. Okay, but we know people have at least seen it. They've had a chance, if they would like to ask a question, we're who we are, right? We're not hiding anything. They want to check out the website, right? Not that it answers everything, right? We don't want too much to blow people over, but it's there. And so I think that's a good reminder, as the admin team and I even talked in this morning's meeting, like whenever possible, and it's not always possible, whenever possible, proactive communication, still important. It's still appreciated by people, even if we don't hear from most of them. I think it's safe to say, well, I've had people that do know this say both the city and the county probably have had far more communications. And as someone in my office said today, well, neither the city nor the county set out a proactive communication either. And again, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. This is just people sharing information with them. So long story short, we'll keep working at it. I'm walking the dog, which doesn't happen as much in the winter as other times of the year. I'll keep thinking about ways that maybe we can try something, even if it's stealing the idea from someone else. And I did, my week did start with another superintendent, not in our county, but not too far away, saying, hey, I heard you send a letter out. Would you share that with me? So we did. And I'll probably set the date tomorrow. We've got a few dates where we get the Door and Kewaunee County superintendents together with Joe Hitchens. I host. Or we host, whatever you want to call it, and so we'll be meeting then probably late January on that. So we'll keep working at it. That's what I got.
Excellent.
Quick question. Do you think
Yes, sir.
any of those elected officials would come and speak with us, maybe at a learning session?
I think some would be open to that. I mean, the simple fact that you have, I'm trying to think, what would we have, 6 maybe there? There's been times we've had more, but coming into a room, superintendents kind of knowing like, well,
Yeah,
I think I know where we're at. People got their tax bills.
Well,
And I think some of them are representing other parts that go beyond our part. Sorry, Jake, you were gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say, to that point, I mean, we could invite the other school boards from the county to sweeten the pot for a bigger audience too.
Mhm.
I mean,
It wasn't.
maybe except for Gibraltar.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
They're the outlier. It's not a.
yeah, and financially,
Yeah.
I can say, because in talking with the Sebastopol superintendent, right, like some of their numbers are getting very close to the Gibraltar numbers, right? So even in our county is a great example of how, there's kind of a line of sorts where, remember, over time, Gibraltar and Sebastopol have said on and off over the years, boy, it'd be nice to get the state aid Sturgeon Bay gets. What's interesting about the current trend is I have shared like, actually. Having most of your support from, if not all, from your local property tax base. Isn't a bad thing, because look what's happened, right? Look what, and again, we're, I hate to say it, but we're kind of a good test case in how that is going down. But there's still services to provide, but I think your point is an excellent one, like, kind of. Getting a little bit of a wider swath of whatever that looks like in Door County or Door County, or whoever wants to participate in getting a few folks together. I know different topic, right? But Mike and I just spoke very recently about, there is a time where having a special meeting to serve a good purpose and get some people together, right? That can be very helpful. And maybe that becomes one.
There was a time Joel did meet with us. I don't remember, because I remember it was in the middle school comments during, during
That
COVID.
could have been one of our COVID sessions.
Yeah.
Since we used that room a lot then, yeah.
It was probably before they voted on the last budget.
Oh,
It wasn't
well,
after.
yes, it's been a while, yeah, but yes, so I know.
Well, kind of like we said, very different topic, but, having reps of the city council or the board and the city council, if it becomes helpful to have some sort of joint meeting or special meeting, or whatever, that can certainly be done. Good thoughts. Thank you.
Anything else, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Haas, second by Commissioner Meyer to adjourn. Further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Or happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Still okay.
I gotta see.